No one saw her anymore. She sat alone at the edge of the refugee encampment on Sarah 9, her bony fingers wrapped around a metal cup of cold broth. The wind tugged at her thin shawl, though she didn't shiver. She didn't speak. She hadn't spoken in days. The others whispered when they passed her, whispers too low for her ears, but not for her mind. That's the widow. Her mate was in the first wave. Didn't even get a grave. She was an alien among aliens. Even her own kind avoided her now. Grief, it seemed, was contagious. Her name was Lenari, and she had no reason to keep breathing. The war had shattered her world. One moment, she'd been tending her mate's medical kit, humming an old song while he packed for his post. The next, his entire outpost was vaporized, caught in the blast wave from an orbital strike. No remains. No ceremony. Just silence. Her people fled the planet. She with them. But when the ships docked at Sarah 9, a human settlement opened to refugees. They were divided. Processed. Stripped of weapons and titles. And somehow, she, a healer, a bonded mate, was left behind in a forgotten quadrant, sleeping on rusted cots beside empty food crates and tired souls. No one looked at her. Until he did. The human's name was Keller. He wasn't dressed like the officials. No polished boots, no scanner badge. Just dusty pants, a sun-cracked jacket, and an old field medkit slung over his shoulder. He found her sitting by the ash drum, watching the smoke twist upward. "You hurt?" he asked. She said nothing. "You hungry?" Still nothing. He crouched beside her, studying her quietly. His eyes weren't full of pity like the others. They weren't cold either. They were steady. He placed a wrapped ration bar at her feet and stood. "Name's Keller," he said simply. "If you ever feel like talking, I'll be helping in the med shelter." He left. And didn't look back. She didn't go to him for 3 days. Not until a child stumbled into camp with a broken arm. Her own kind circled the boy, wringing hands and whispering. No one acted. No one helped. Lenari's instincts took over before her grief could catch up. She crossed the field, knelt beside the child, and reached for the twisted limb. And froze. She had no bandages. No splint. Her kit was gone. Her hands trembled. Then a shadow fell over her. Keller. Wordless. He knelt beside her and opened his medkit. Together they worked, splinting, wrapping, calming. When it was done, the boy smiled through his tears. And Lenari realized she was still breathing. After that, she came to the shelter daily. Never speaking much. Never asking. Just helping. Keller let her work. He never pried. Never forced conversation. But every time she reached for gauze, he passed it before she asked. Every time she paused, he steadied her hands. He didn't flinch at her jagged scars or her silent mourning. He treated her as present, as useful, as real. One night, the storm came. Heavy rains. Flooded tents. A shuttle toppled from its mount and crushed half the med supplies. Lenari and Keller worked through the night, pulling wounded from the mud, rigging makeshift splints from tarp poles, using scraps for bandages. At dawn, as the rain broke, she slumped beside him in the shelter, soaked and shaking. "You'll fall apart," he said, voice low. "I already have," she whispered. "You just don't see the pieces." Keller didn't answer, just sat with her until her shaking stopped. Later that week, the new quartermaster arrived. Cold. Efficient. Human. He scanned the rosters and frowned at her presence. "She's not listed as medical staff." "She's essential," Keller said. "She's not qualified under Federation standards. She saved 3 lives in 4 days. She's not even human." Keller didn't flinch. "Neither are the ones she's saving." The quartermaster scowled. I want her gone by week's end. Keller didn't argue. But that night, he handed her a worn pouch. Inside, a salvaged ID badge. Lenari Vec. Assistant Medic. Authorized Personnel. Signed by K. Ward. Her hands trembled. You gave me your name, she whispered. You earned it, Keller replied. The next time someone asked for a medic, they didn't ask for the alien. They asked for Lenari. Weeks passed. She smiled again. Not often. But Keller saw it. She began humming once more, softly, when she wrapped bandages. And one day, after a long shift, she paused at the edge of the hill where the refugees burned prayer papers in memory of the dead. She held one in her hands, but didn't place it in the flame. Keller approached. You not ready to let go? No, she said. I already let go. She turned to him. But I didn't say goodbye. He nodded, stepping beside her. They stood there until the fire died out. 2 months later, the Federation Council sent word. Experienced medics were needed for frontier stations. Lenari read the posting twice. I could go, she said quietly. Keller raised an eyebrow. Alone. I've lived alone. I've died alone. But this, she looked at him. It's better with two. Keller smiled. You sure about this? No, she said honestly. But I have your name. And I think I want to make it worth something. The last thing she packed was a photo. It was grainy, smudged, torn at the corners. A human man in a battered jacket. A grieving widow in a dusty scarf. Smiling. Side by side. Not broken anymore. Just beginning again.